budget work session with Harrison County Board of Education, Tuesday, April 22nd. This time, let us stand for pledge of allegiance.
Mr. Lopez, can you answer the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Today is a continuation of our meeting last week regarding the budget for 2026 Harrison County Board of Education. At this point in time, you can open it up. You can start discussing anything that you guys have reviewed or anything that you might want to talk about. In this kind, you can go ahead and start presenting to us the information that we've asked.
So you have packets at your locations. I'll go in the order in which we encountered. So the first one was the question about use of vans. So I gave you a copy of that page for policy 4336, and Mr. Lopez can.
Sorry, can you repeat yourself?
The policy 4336 is the very first thing on top. That has to do with the use of vans, transport for extracurricular activities. Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, I know that the board has entertained the idea of what and if the board could own vehicles. And the answer is yes, and you can see that it's highlighted. I brought my book that I think Ms. Kynes brought. She went ahead and made a copy. Yes, it could be. I've always kind of shied away from it, and you probably know that. Not that I didn't necessarily want to do it, I just know that it's going to be hard to get one, because there's multiple times, you know, if you have golf, you have it in multiple schools. You almost need one in every feeder area. And I'm not trying to run up the cost here, but realistically, that would be a way to do it. If you had one, it would get used, but there would still be several schools in the same position. So, you know, we can do it. It's a matter of it specifies that you can only have a vehicle that is manufactured for 9 passengers, and then you have your driver. So it can't be like you get a good deal of 15 passenger, but you only put 9 in it. It can't be that according to policy. So it has to be a 9-passenger manufactured vehicle. Of course, it talks about the restraints and everything that need to be used. It's seatbelts, just like we all do. You do not need a commercial driver's license to drive it. Any of us could drive it. I would suggest that Ford employee drive it would be in the best interest. But that's pretty much how you would be able to, if that answers the question. I did listen to our meeting last time, but if that answers all the questions that you guys had.
Well, it also says you can only have one county board-owned vehicle shall be used for any one single trip.
Yeah,
So
so
you can only
if
use-
Bridgeport has, say
20 kids.
say volleyball team,
18 kids.
and they need, 18 kids, but don't want to take a school bus, we'll take 2. Technically, according to policy, you're not supposed to do that. It's for a small number of kids that, 9 or less per school, per trip, or per event. So,
That's a golf thing.
Golf, maybe
Yes.
tennis, I don't know how many's on the tennis team.
Basically, they have anywhere from usually 6 to 8 players. So, but all the other teams have more than 9 players.
yeah, and so, so it's certainly a possibility. I know that it will be difficult to manage unless you have one per feeder area. But that's going to be pretty costly. So in theory, I think there's a really good positive things about it. And then I think there's some drawbacks.
How many teams are there that have 9 or less kids?
See, I don't have the specific number.
Well, among 5 high schools or middle schools? Oh, just golf.
Golf's on the team. All the other teams.
Maybe, but really like Bridgeport has a much larger team than that.
Your academic team.
Bird normally has more.
Academic teams, debate teams.
So I don't have those statistics, but you know, a small group, but you could also,
Hold on, one at a time, one at a time.
for example, like, if, maybe, All-State Choir has to go to Charleston. Those are things that, you know, then the vehicle could be with them over the weekend or overnight, and then they can get from place to place. So that would be definitely something, I could see where those type of events would benefit from that. In most cases, you might be able to, you may still be in a position where you take a van, but you still have to have a volunteer driver take another vehicle. That, in most cases, I would say that is a possibility. So, just food for thought. It's a large investment. 10 passenger vans probably gonna cost you, I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $70,000. That's bare bones.
You multiply that by 5,
Or 4.
yeah, then
And really, that'll work well for some of the schools in that feeder area, but there still could be potentially an event that maybe, you know, so there's pros and cons. The other thing too is, you know, when you have a vehicle out like that, it would have to be centrally located, probably at the transportation department, so the mechanics can check it in, check it out. It'd be like a little rental service almost, but maintenance is a key. So that when it comes back, there'll be some, you know, things with some parameters that would have to take place. You have to have a full tank, which it would have a key, just so that when they bring it back and it's cleaned out and kind of like our buses when we do that. It's cleaned out, it's full tank gas, might be hosed off. And our mechanics could clean it up too, but just so for the most part, there's some oversight.
Would it be cheaper, thinking of everything that you just said, would it be cheaper then maybe to rent in those situations like that? I mean, overall, because you're paying a one-time deal then, you're not paying the insurance, for instance, you're not paying the maintenance, things like that.
And one of the things, you're right, and that's taken place before by some of our schools, but if you have a county-owned vehicle, there is no cost to the school or the sports, with the club. If it's a school rental, then the school's paying for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming out of their, they can use their transportation levy
right.
funds, which is what
But
they're
you can do
using.
that.
That is what they're using. There's their transportation levy funds.
Well, I just think being realistic, if you look at it, no more than 9 can go, you know, and you're talking about golf, and you're talking about a choir group or something of that nature there. And these choirs anymore have more than 9 kids. I just think that we ought to use our buses. I think it ought to be planned out, know when the events are going to take place, way in advance, and penciled in, and our buses being used with our drivers to take them to choir or whatever in Charleston, or a golf match in, you know, Augusta or wherever.
And I agree with what you're saying. The only problem is some of those state sanctioned events or they're scheduled outside the ability of the school or the county to make that schedule.
Well, you know, I know, I just think that we have these buses, and I hear from the bus drivers all the time, how come we don't ever get any trips? Why aren't we getting trips? Why aren't the schools using trips? I said, I don't know. I can't answer that. I said, all I know, in the old days, we had to take a bus. Anytime we went out of county, we had to be on the school bus, you know? And, you know, the players and the cheerleaders all went on the same bus and everything, to the game and back from the game, and all bus drivers, you know, handled it.
I had to quit taking trips because the time we needed to leave, they wouldn't have been back from their route, and we didn't have subs to cover their route to get us to Pittsburgh and back, and I wasn't gonna rent a private bus. It was a ridiculous amount defer to the Spanish Night Dinner Cruise on the Gateway Clipper. It was a really good trip. And then if we even wanted to go earlier and hit one of the museums or the incline and that museum, it just, the bus drivers couldn't give up the regular routes.
Well, a lot of them drivers would probably give up their regular route to take them.
They can, they need a sub. They
Well,
have
that's
to,
what I'm
they have to
saying.
take
We
the kids
have,
home.
you know, we have subs. At least Jimmy's told us we have extra run drivers. And some of his guys can also drive. And, you know,
We don't have enough.
well, I mean, how do we know we don't have enough? We don't know how many trips we're going to be taking. I mean,
So let me ask you this, are you asking for one this year and then continuing to go build?
He wasn't asking.
I wasn't really asking for anything, I was just, this was
What's your
information,
thought?
informational food for thought for you all.
Mr. Tucker had asked a question because I put in the narrative that it's something that we may want to explore. And then Mr. Tucker had asked the question about what were the requirements, and that's why.
I think with the budget situation that we're going to talk about more tonight, I think we're starting to get into that area where we're going to tread on thin ice in regard to the budget. We may get through this year, but looking down the road, next year, year after, and all, I think that we're going to have to get to the point where we take the purse strings and start to
And when it,
tighten them up.
whenever they're renting a vehicle, it looks like the average is about $500 around.
Yeah.
And we can rent a lot of vehicles before we purchase things.
Yeah, I think the rental.
But this,
Yeah, if we can't-
but this department, this policy 4336 permits us to actually rent those vehicles as well. So that's the good. The only thing in there is it does require that we have professional personnel that are employed by us drive it. And we should have a copy of their valid driver's license.
Is there anything
And
in here
it
that
has
says
to be a vehicle that is
Meets the criteria.
manufactured for only non-passengers. So that's something that, you know, how many rental, places rent that rent vans. And you know, that would be a matter of how many vans they have.
9 passengers plus the driver, yeah.
I'm just curious, how does that affect, we lease our driver's ed vehicles, correct? And
Some, we buy some, we lease some.
Okay.
They used to go to,
All of them used to be,
they used to
they
go.
all used to be.
Yeah.
So then the next piece of paper in your packet is the national board. Mrs. Elmer had actually looked this up for me and got it under the FAQs. The question was, could an administrator get their maintenance of certification completed? And so this answers that question specifically, and yes, they can.
What page is that?
It was right, the next thing in
Oh,
your
right.
packet. Yep. The very next thing in the packet is about speech language pathologist. Mrs. Elmer put together a questionnaire and sent out to the counties around us. She started with the second page on that is the average for that county salaries. And then she asked them, do you have a county supplement and is it included with that average salary? And the answer was yes or no. When you go through there with all the supplements added in, Harrison County Schools is pays the highest between Barber, Doddridge, Harris, Lewis, Marion, Mon, Taylor, and Upshur. What is not being counted is the medical allotment, the Medicaid supplement, and other supplements that are not included in that base salary because they're paid once a year.
They're paid what?
They're only paid once a year. At the Medicaid, medical allotment, we do that the Friday before Thanksgiving. The Medicaid supplement, Mrs. Miller sends us down, we pay that at the end of the year. And then, of course, if you have the attendance incentive in there, because we pay the highest attendance incentive, that makes us paying the SLPs $1,000 more than anybody else in those areas. But you do have to look at the total compensation package.
Oh, they're looking over that. Back up to national board.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
wasn't that, I think I wasn't asking can they, because I said they can. Jenny said they can.
Right.
So I would think that she would know that they can. All right, my question was how? That was my question. How is it done? That was my question.
It's the same process as the others. Do we need to talk anything else about the SLPs in response to their letter?
I'm looking at it about, Doddridge County. If we pay so much more, we're only a couple $100 ahead of Doddridge County in total average compensation.
Right.
And I can't see where they're paying, okay, any other supplements, they pay 2,500.
Right.
But we don't know what they are.
They just said it was another supplement that was not included in the average, the state average. And we pay 3,000.
Well, and Doddridge is one of two counties that doesn't get any state money because there's.
Well, not for 26. 26, they get a little bit of state money.
They're teaching that, they pay a lot.
Yeah. So they started out on the average salary a little above us, about less than $300, but when it's all said and done, we actually pay out more. I thought it was really interesting though about Mon County.
So they have 19.4, that's what that FTE is.
Yes.
So we have 18.7.
Mhm.
Man, for a place as big as they are.
Right.
We're actually that low.
Size-wise, we're really close to Cabell in the size of our population and Raleigh County. If you wanted to look down at Raleigh. Raleigh has 15. The next thing in your packet is the administrative supplemental pay schedule.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Before we go on the speech language pathologist,
Yes, ma'am.
do we hire out any of these positions? Any of these services?
We do currently have some contracts for 2 vacancies, and then we have 1 contract for Spanish speaking that we do contract, but currently we only have 2 speech and language that we're contracting because they're vacancies for us right now.
And does
One
that,
has been filled, 1 will be filled with the next school year, and we'll have 1 vacancy.
does that count in our 18?
No, that's
Or-
actual salaries. Those were people that we had employed as of October 1. Everything goes back to October 1.
Okay, so that's 18, and then we have 2, 3 that were,
Currently, 2, the
Contracting?
third one, we've stopped, we've met those services, but 2 we're contracting, but that, they do not get this salary. That is a contract that we do through an MOU through, our provider is Best Life Therapy that got that MOU. So that salary isn't anything
It's
like
not,
this.
it's not our salary.
And this is regular work, those two are do regular work hours,
Yes.
just as our therapy.
Yes. Yeah, and so
But
they're billing, we're billing that at a different rate because we're not covering some of those things. Best Life covers it, so it's actually less than this we're paying.
so you said we'll be getting another one, so we.
Yeah, one of
We'll be
those
doing
is-
19 now?
One of those vacancies will be filled at the beginning of next school year.
So we're up to 19 then.
I have
We
on
I think we had our vacancies, this has vacancies in it, but I think that we had a speech language pathologist retire throughout the course of the year or leave, maybe 2 of them. Is that how we had our vacancies?
yes, and so those 2 vacancies, due to caseloads and numbers, we were able to restructure that. All of our speech and language therapists are itinerant, so we look at those caseloads, and that's set forth by policy 2419, how many they can have on a caseload. And we were able to restructure some of that, and so we didn't fill a couple of those vacancies because the numbers were low enough, we can meet that with existing.
So then next year we'll be down 1?
We've got 1 that we're hiring, and then we'll just have the 1 vacancy still.
So we aren't filling.
We are gonna fill it, and then.
That one we need.
That's
We're
the
gonna
goal.
be 18. We get everything.
The goal.
Correct.
That's it.
Yes, and we do,
Right, okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay,
trying to get a number here.
And I'm hopeful for that vacancy. We've had a lot of interest, so I think starting next year, some of the concern is being able to get out of other contracts, what they're already currently doing, to be able to bid on ours. So I'm hopeful that that May posting, we might see that activity on that one.
So are the majority of those folks in private, or are they in another school system that currently bids on their jobs?
From what I know, because I don't always see those who post on those, because those go directly to their supervisor, and I'm not the direct supervisor for the speech therapist, but it has been private practice, most interested in coming to us.
Usually private.
Yes, but we have a lot of benefits that private doesn't offer, right?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, again, the perk of your weekends, your summers, all those holidays, the limited case number, because our policies from the state, so it limits how many you can work and how many in a day, where private can set some of that themselves. So I think some of that's a benefit.
And some prefer working with children than
Yeah.
like stroke victims or
Yeah.
senior citizens. So.
So we're gonna move on. So the next one, if you rip this two apart, you got the administrative, pay supplemental schedule, I updated it. And then the extracurricular, I added the, assistant coaches for the middle school. So based on need and one max pay per term for the middle school. So if you would implement both of those just as it is, your packet that says Schedule A with a big hot pink post-it, that's where the budget would be.
What's the total?
The total's still the same, it's just that I had to take it out of contingency and move it to personnel costs. But it's personnel and instruction, because athletics is really instruction, because it's an instructional activity. And then, the other one would be school administration. So it's between those three categories on the general fund. And then all of the backup detail schedules, follow, that also changed. Basically, it's around $64,000 difference. I had to take out of contingencies to do both of those. And then the second packet with the yellow sticker is only the athletic piece on it.
And what was it? What did it end up being? If that, if
About
A was
35.
64,
About 35.
With an already tight contingency, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, that we did discover that, there's an assistant in an elementary school under the 499 that did not receive a supplement.
You mean,
There was no.
there was no
There's no
supplement?
supplement listed for that, you're talking about the pay. Yeah, because they fell below that. Remember, it was 300, 499, that's why there's red right there.
Yeah. It's not yellow, it's just red.
Red.
Oh, okay.
And I did check and it's budgeted, it's just not there. Wasn't on its schedule. Huh.
Poor guy.
Yeah, because we can't pay anything that's not on the schedule, so.
Poor girl, whoever.
they do randomly pull during the audit, people, and they'll look at the supplemental schedule and work out the pay. So,
So there's actually a two-part there. You could say,
or-
make it for 25. On the next board meeting, you could say, we want that fixed for 25, and I put it on the next board. And we could give that supplement to that person for the 25 year. And then we'll have it on the 26 as well.
And we come there,
That's all the schedules that are changing your book with that packet. So if you guys would choose the original, the way it was presented, we do nothing. If you choose option A, then all of these pages would be changed in your book. And I'll change them in the big book before I publish it. If you chose option B with just the assistant coaches for the middle schools, then it's just these pages in the packet, in the book that would need to be changed.
okay, if I look at this right, what's the total of all funds? I see 199,034,922.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then if we add school administration, assistant coaches, A, B, or
Right.
both, whatever, what is that gonna,
The grand total does not change. It reduces the contingency, the amount that we have for emergencies.
It's gonna be $64,000 more a year, right?
No, not more.
Not, it's just, we're taking
No,
it out,
I'm sorry.
less out for the contingency. We'll
It's
have,
coming out of it.
yes, but then we would have $64,000 every year from this year forward,
Right.
too. Yes,
It doesn't raise this 199.
yes. The one-
before that.
The 199,034.92, it
Stays.
stays exactly the same. It's just a matter of moving it from reserve from contingencies up into the other categories.
is, you say every year, or
Anytime,
under the budget?
no, every time you give a salary increase or a supplement increase, you have that for the rest of your life. You
So
shouldn't
once
have
you
to
give it
change.
away, you can't get it back.
Nope.
What happens if it, down
The
the
only-
road, we can't meet that obligation?
The only time you can take back a salary supplement is if an excess levy fails. And that your salaries or supplements are being paid through, any portion of it being paid through that. That's why we always look at other ways to do things for our employees other than salaries, because especially in a situation of declining enrollment. And personnel averages.
And speaking of declining enrollment, that's where the salaries actually decrease by decreased enrollment.
No, the salaries do not decrease at all.
I meant the supplement, the supplemental, like if you go from,
Oh, yeah.
700 students to,
699,
Yeah.
then you would lose money, yes.
yes,
And we look at that every year, yes.
yes.
But the supplement is still there. Correct. That's why with the HRA, that health reimbursement account we talked about last week, every year the board defines how much they can contribute. It's not set, it's not set, and that's done purposely. Because there may be a year that you, like this year, I've got budgeted at $40 a month. You know, another year it might only be able to do 30. But it's a
That can
benefit.
change your.
That
So-
was, yes, that's designed to change every year, yes, sir.
Odds being, as they are and have been, these supplements aren't gonna cost us the same next year. They'll probably be lower as we decrease.
No, not
student
necessarily,
population.
because a lot of them, there's a they have to lose that many in a whole population. So our populations are like, yeah, like we have someone at, we have an elementary school, 445 students. For them to drop down to 299, that supplement's not gonna change. It's only gonna be those ones that are on the cusp. Right. And look at, in our book, in tab 1, right, couple pages before tab 2, it has the certified enrollment by school. And so, like Johnson Elementary has 742 kids, they would have to lose 43 kids, yes, they would. And in that area is a growing area, so I don't see that ever
Not out
happening.
there.
Yeah, no.
You didn't, that wasn't a very good example of school losing enrollment.
No.
Sorry.
But I'm just saying, you have to lose a lot. Yeah. So like Salem has 173 good students, well, guess what? They're not gonna, even if they go down.
They're not going anywhere.
Their supplement, right, their supplement's not gonna change. Same thing with Lost Creek with 103 students.
Not being the financial mind, you being the financial mind. You know, what is your recommendation to this board as we consider this?
Well,
I mean, I know it's putting you on the spot.
that's fine, that's fine.
but I just,
Personally, and this is just my personal opinion, and then we had a discussion at our cabinet meeting. It can be very disheartening to all of our employees who work very hard to see one group of administrators get a raise when they got nothing. Even if it was only $100.
that's why, I don't know, I guess I'm not feeling.
But that's just my personal opinion.
Well, I'm one of those who feel like if they all can't get something, then nobody gets anything until we get to the point that everybody can get something. Whether it be an increase in betting pool, where everybody gets that.
Well, the HRA helps just specifically with the PEI. Yeah,
You know, I just.
yeah, the medical allotment we did for everybody.
And all that, and it, at some point, maybe could be increased or whatever. But I just think that, you know,
But that's just my personal opinion.
well, I mean, I look at salaries now at our administrators, and our administrators are paid very well.
We're very comparable across the state.
Right. And, so, and I think it's gonna get to a point where somebody leaves, somebody retires, whatever, then they may not be able to be replaced, which then that salary goes back into the pool. And then at some point, whether it be next year, 2 years, whatever down the road, that, whatever, then possibility of coming back and visiting this. Now, are we as a board, we going to be the ones that are making that decision? Probably not, you know, but, you know, at some point,
Yeah, and some of the administrative supplements were $1,200 versus $100 loss.
There was another request that was sent to board members. Did you guys see that one about the regular IT contracts?
I didn't say anything about that.
That was brought up the other day. Superintendent Stelter showed me just now, school technology contracts. They're asking for an increase as well. They didn't specify anything. specific. So I think that would be, if we're gonna look at some of these other ones, I agree with Doug. If we're gonna look at one, we gotta look at them all. But if we're not gonna look at one, then I don't think we should look at any of them. Because I do believe that one of the pieces of heartburn that we would have is with all the things that we've done, a lot of the school closings, we've been in a precarious situation. So it would be hard pressed for me to say we give one group something and not.
So does that mean you're not gonna do anything with the extracurricular playoff games?
No, that has nothing to do with that. Actually, you're not I don't think you're not giving, say, the assistant coaches is what we're looking at in particular there, right? So
So
that,
you're not gonna do that then?
no, that has nothing
Assistant
to do
coaches are different because they're not getting paid to begin with. They're not being paid currently.
with their position is not.
So that's the difference there. We're not increasing salaries at that point. We're, I think, equitably, I think if it's an equitable issue, it's a grievable issue that they're not getting paid, but they're in an assistant coach position. So I think that we have to do something there. But I mean, I would love to give everybody the increases we could. I would love it. I would love it. But I'm one person, one vote. So the will of the board is the five of us, what we want to do. But we have a very competent, and very educated, and very smart finance lady. So I do think that, a recommendation means something to us that we should pay attention to.
And if you want to talk about the National Board of Certified Teachers, to me, that's just the correction of an oversight of prior years, because we were only giving them a $500 county supplement, and everybody else was getting $1,500.
So we're saying that they would get an increase of $1,000.
That puts them on the same piece, the same supplement as our SLPs.
That I guess, I guess
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could live with that. 1,000. I couldn't live with $3,000 or $4,000 more for National Board Certified. At this point, down the road, maybe able to increase.
No, they expressed they were grateful for even the 1,000. And it puts us on par with surrounding counties too.
Now, and I look back, and this is maybe going backwards, but I look at Marion County at their teacher salaries, and they're being asked to lose 20 positions. And if you take 20 positions times $60-some thousand, that's a very, very large savings to them as a county. And, that doesn't say where Harrison County may be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, where we're in the same situation in order to, we have to start.
Roughly, our average teacher with benefits is about $77,000, $78,000.
In 1974.
Well, that's what it takes to have an employee, not that they make $70,000.
Right.
Right, that's the
Yeah,
insurance and
that's
the
a big difference.
retirement.
And 20 times 60 doesn't get it Marion County either.
No,
But I do think we have to weigh the fact that, since Mr. Hoag's been on the board, since I've been on the board, we have been very adamant about not performing any RIFs. It's something that we've always wanted to do. So we're at a point, I think, where we have to weigh that benefit of not riffing or of providing increases. And you guys thought, my God, school consolidation was hard. I mean, that's, we've had a lot of good years here in Harrison County. And I think that that's something that has to be considered when we make the decision on this budget.
and Harrison County compensates their employees very nicely, as we just showed on the SLPs. that analysis there compared to our surrounding counties. And everything starts with the teacher's base salary.
Let me clarify, the feeling that I have about the increases has nothing to do with anyone's performance, has nothing to do with their abilities, has nothing to do with how good they are. Okay? I think that everybody does a great job. I think that everybody deserves an increase. And I think that everybody is here for the right reasons and is dedicated to their job. But our fiscal responsibility as a board is to make sure that we approve the budget that is going to be best for Harrison County Schools.
My issue, whenever I brought up about the assistant coaches, was it last year or the year before, whenever it was volleyball in particular. My thing is the legality of it. Is, you know, you can have that volunteer there, whatever you want, but those teams need an assistant, and that takes care of the legal end of it, as far as I'm concerned. And I think as far as the law is concerned too.
Yeah, and the second page, this kind of put together at the bottom, says based on need, more than 20 student athletes on team roster. That's the determination right there at that point.
Which one's on A or B?
It's
Compensation is-
Oh,
Something else.
that's C then, yeah, C.
Yeah, on some of these teams, you're not gonna have 20.
Well, like golf, for instance, it doesn't even have an assistant because they usually only field 5 at a time, 5 or 6, I can't remember, 5 or 6 in competition.
Do we have any more co-ed soccer teams? They're all segregated.
Well, I mean, I can live with the, teachers that are board certified, that raise and bring them up to the rest. And the assistant coaches we look at in need is, to me, it's very minimal as to the position. And it takes, as Tom said, the legal aspect of it. And for instance, if the head coach can't be there at practice, if it's a volunteer, then you're legal there. But if you have an assistant, they're paid assistant, then he holds that same responsibility. So,
But our volunteers are recognized by the board.
yeah,
But
they're
in that
recognized as a
position-
board.
And they're covered. with our insurance. They're covered under our workers' comp.
They can't supervise, that's the only thing, they can't supervise
Yes.
kids without a professional there.
Right.
That's where you, that's where you do kind of get into a little bit.
So
And there's sometimes the coach can't get there, it's happened, yeah.
But you
the
can't
AD
say
might have to
the
get-
AD's gonna step up there and be with that individual either. Because AD isn't always at that particular event, because you have more than one event going on, so.
Well, then then comes to the assistant principal. One of the assistant principals would have to be at the practice or be at the game and all. So, I know a coach one time that got thrown out of a ball game and had to set out the next game. And so had the assistant coach was fine, but because the head coach was also the athletic director, so he couldn't be there. So the assistant principal just sat down on the bench with the assistant coach as he ran the game.
Times have changed. I remember substituting one time and taking a team out of the county to a game.
Yeah.
So those times have changed. As a sub, that's right. And we went by car. To top it all off. Yeah. With no incident.
But, you know, I know with that coach, it was a lesson learned, you know. You don't realize at the time the position that you put everybody in. The players, the coaches, assistant coaches, the school itself, principals and assistant principals and all. So, like I said,
So are you saying then on the, you're not gonna add the level 4 to the elementary for 700 plus students?
I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do.
I mean, we can pick and choose, right?
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
we
saying,
don't have to.
where you have level 4 and all the others, I was just, we do have a elementary school with over 700 students.
Yeah, you have one. I would think you always have to add the level 4 for elementary.
I think that was just Tom or just trying to be consistent across the.
Yeah, you should be.
I think on the, that's for the day, if we do add one, I think over on the, ratio page, it says that the superintendent can decide if they need an additional.
Yes,
That's not technically just adding somebody.
no, it's just
Additional.
as approved, yeah.
That's just the supplement.
Yeah.
Because you need some kind of leeway there, and we don't want to add.
It's under tab 4.
That's just increasing the supplement, correct?
Yes.
But it's also increasing the principal's pay as well.
And then when you look down at the,
You,
so normally, if you look at a level 3 elementary, that principal is getting supplemented the same as a level 2 middle.
But all I'm saying is,
So
we
if-
have a level 4 in middle school, we have a level 5, in level.
So
just
if,
remember, for elementary schools, some of our elementary schools have off-site pre-K that's included in their number, and those kids are not in their building. So just
and I do have that here.
Keep that in
Is that an
mind.
example
Is
there?
that
on one of
example
the-
Yes, yes, right here. So,
They get included, I mean, they get funded for that many kids, but they're not in their building supervised.
so at Johnson, there's 60 off-site pre-Ks. There's 95 at Nutter Fort Primary, and Big Elm has 60.
So do we have
But the numbers reflected on the certified,
assistant
Let's include
principals in charge of those sites? That goes,
They attend SAT meetings sometimes, if there's a special ed issue.
But I thought it was based on staff. Oh, we're talking supplements, that's
Yes.
why salary is based on staff. I'll get it.
Okay. The principal's index is based on that, yes. Not the county supplemental levy.
yes, yes.
Because I have, it's like, you have, it's so work. The secretary does the lunches. They
Then you give us.
Yeah.
There's one
They
down.
just call us when they needed somebody for an IP
Can you give us the number of schools,
for what?
for the students in each school?
It's actually
That's right.
for
Yeah,
tab 2.
1, it's right before tab 2, you pull it out.
That thing, this one.
Pull out thing.
It's before it, but it's before the.
Right before.
Yeah, it's before the.
They're funded
That
on
was
those
Mary
numbers.
Frances.
Yes, they're funded.
Mom's.
And the reason they're funding in that
Yeah,
is
she redid it.
because those kids count as a 0.8 of an FTE in our state aid formula. And then we have cooperative agreements with
Right before tab 2.
those off-sites.
Pre-K.
Pull that one. There you go.
One more.
Who's in charge of the certified teachers at pre-K? Or are there certified teachers in offsite pre-K?
They're certified teachers, but they're employees of the daycare.
They're not our
Okay.
employees,
They're not our
so they're not evaluating them. And we really, if they're on, we have really no evaluative power over any of those off-site pre-K. You don't go in and say, I need to fix this or fix that.
not.
You're only invited as an administrator possibly to a meeting. They have to assign it to some building. And it's usually just, we kind of fix that because we have them everywhere. But generally Head Starts are the ones, it depends on what type of program. But there is some.
But if we were going to do that level 4, then I think the supplement amount would need to be updated to the same thing as level 3 for a middle school,
Yeah.
which would be the 12,000 and 7,200 for the assistant, because that's how it goes above.
You're gonna have to explain that to me, like.
Guys, hey. Hey, we're going off the rails again.
Level 3.
Let's get back on track.
So
Sorry.
when you look at the principal years that level 2.
It's not bringing the sheet here.
Same color in 1.
Okay,
Elementary principals don't have level.
right, right.
So then you go down 1, so that's a level 2, middle is a level 3.
Okay.
So it's 12, so it's,
But this one should change.
yeah, and then this would be.
So that's 2 levels we would have to change if we have.
No, we don't change it to level wrong.
Oh,
Because this goes down to here, see, it takes it off of level.
okay.
Level 3 is the same as level 2.
Okay, thank you.
Does everybody have the information that they need? Does anybody have any questions, discussions, additions, subtractions?
Uh,
I know why I didn't major in accounting.
So whenever we pick and choose what's going to get what, then will that have to not go back to Whitney and then we get a file?
We've got to do that now.
Yeah, I've got
That has
to
to be
get the
done
paper.
Because she has to get that back into her
This,
book. her budget
Publish
book,
it.
Publish it and get it out. So unless you want to have a meeting tomorrow, we have May 6th is our budget hearing.
Okay, so are you gonna, we're just gonna vote on each one of these things individually now as we go?
Well, no, it's not a vote. We're in a work session.
You tell me
But I
what to
guess, the will of the board is what we impart upon her.
Okay, so all of, you say all of it.
Well, no,
Your name?
no, I think that my feeling is that, I'll be honest with you, the coaches, and I mean, I'm close to saying as is presented. That's what I'm close to saying.
The original.
The original, that's what I'm close to saying. But I understand the coaches, the legal matter of it, and I love our SLPs and I love our NBCTs, but obviously I'm just one person.
Remember, the original budget has that.
NBCD.
It's got
What?
$1,000.
Yeah, the national.
Yeah,
board
that's
is in there.
NBCT $1,000.
The 1,500's in there.
So,
Does it have the assistant coaches?
no.
No.
No,
Assistant
not the
coaches.
yellow, not the yellow
That's
coaches.
Whatever yellow is on there.
That's option B. That's the original plus option B. Let's get that.
And how much contingency are we taking out just for option B? Or
35, 36,000.
every
Yeah.
year?
If they look at it.
If, that's maximum, that's assuming that every middle school,
An assistant
has
coach in every
things
one of those spots.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and they have to have 20 on the team roster, 20
Who
student athletes.
determines the need for the assistant coach?
More than
Students.
20 student
Based on
athletes.
number of students, okay.
On each team.
So it'll be equal across the board.
So it could be no more than 35,000, or it could be less than.
Yes, yes, sir.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're probably not gonna have.
And how many actually board certified that we have?
Oh, no, that means it could be.
I built it in, yeah, I built that in as we did it.
Okay, Frankie.
So, my feeling is that we accept the original budget with the coaches,
Assistant coach.
assistant coaches.
So option B.
It's my feeling.
So we're gonna skip the level 4 elementary then?
That's my
We,
feeling.
if
You
you
guys
want me to add it, I can.
disagree or agree, I mean, that's,
How much is that at? Since
It
you're-
would
It's
be,
only one school, right?
yeah,
to me, that's fire. That's playing with fire to me.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, because that's one of those situations where, you get into
Well, can Tom and
picking and choosing.
Can Tom and Mary Frances explain why you put that in there then? Because this is all new to me, but.
Well, we did this, what, 2 years ago?
Yes. And it's great work, and it's great. I mean, they do a good job.
We did it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
But-
they do a
but-
great job.
It's the same job.
And I guess it was when we had money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it right now. And I don't see these other schools growing that much in population.
And it was
unless it's
in
consolidation.
anticipation of the consolidation and the numbers changing and the number of administrators changing per school. I mean, it was a whole big,
it was a big thing.
it was a whole big thing, not just this one little thing.
That was
But
secure.
I felt we needed to actually look at it, because I don't even think we really looked at it after we went and did it,
Okay.
so.
And another fourth primary is the only one that's close to that. And if you think and look at that, and you're at 742,
We don't.
no. I'm saying another fourth's the only one that's close to them at 593.
Oh, yeah.
So at 742, I guess you'd have to think, is that assistant possible, and whoever it is that individual have more responsibility, more duties, more whatever than the person at 593, the person at 242, the person at whatever? If you have to think, I think you have to think of that.
Now, remember, 242 typically does not have an assistant,
Exactly.
so that's all in the principal.
And that school could have been, any of those other schools there at one time or the other. Just happens to be that one that we just mentioned.
So if we added just the level 4 in elementary, how much is that out of contingency a year?
It would be the difference between what's already there, between what she's getting paid as, like right now, they're getting a supplement 10-2, and then it would be 12,000 if we went to level 3 in the middle school.
It'd be 2,100. Or
And
not
then-
quite, not
Yeah, and then for the plus fringes, and then for the assistant, it would be 83 to 6,700.
Yeah, how much?
The difference between 83 and 67.
And how many students did you say were off-site at Johnson?
There are 60. Which
That-
brings it down to
that
under the
puts it-
699.
That puts it below 700.
Yes.
My perception is you're still only paying one person in it.
Yeah.
Two people.
But if they've got 60 kids off-site, that puts them under 700.
But it still would count in whatever their weedless count is.
Right.
That's what we use the supplements
But they're actually not supervising those 50-some kids.
for.
These are the kind of things that we need to hold on to compare them to next year, the next year, and all the way down the road. as to where, fluctuation take place. Something happens and all of a sudden there's a giant influx of people moving into Harrison County. And,
And we can revisit it.
That'd be nice to have those numbers right beside of the others, the numbers off-site, like you just said, 65? To have those right beside of that to even look at.
I can add it.
I would say, we,
That
We
just
can go ahead and
changes,
make a
I mean, that
vote.
just changes.
Yeah, it does.
yeah, just get it.
If you want to write them down in your book for this year, I can say them again. It's Nutter Fort Primary has 95. Johnson has 60. And Big Elm has 60.
We got Simpson on there too, Reagan's.
Simpson?
Oh, Simpson, yeah, Big One, never here. Sorry, Simpson is a 20.
I think it's their annual head start.
All they.
And West Milford has 30. West Milford has 30.
And where do those 30 go?
To the Head Start.
The Head Start.
West Milford.
It's still off-site.
Where's,
That's why whenever they said
I-
742 actually wasn't the number that's on site. It's 60 less than that. So
Okay.
what does that mean? All
Okay.
All right, just to wrap my head around it, so we're gonna do the coaches, the assistant coaches.
If they have enough.
If they're not getting a raise, it's only if they qualify to have.
If they have the numbers.
If they
So,
qualify.
and most of the way at 35,000, but it could be less if they don't have enough kids. And then $1,000 to, which is already in the book.
It's already budgeted.
Which makes it 15.
That's where we're going, that's.
That's,
where
that's,
we're going.
that's where I would like to see it go. And if that's something that, if there's any opposition from other board members, I would have, speak now. But if the will of the board is to, if there's no objection from the other board members, I would say we could ask Ms. Kynes to put option B in the budget book.
Which has,
The budget?
yeah, no, I've got it, I'm just.
Oh, option B, the first 2 pages of that goes in tab 5. First 3 pages goes in tab 5. And then the next page goes under tab 6. And then the last page goes under 15.
Bring my checkbook.
Okay, so we're agreed then, or?
I think unless there's any objection, we could instruct Ms. Kynes to put option B in and bring it to us for a vote.
Well, that'll be what will be at the hearing on May 6th.
Mhm.
And then the vote would be on May 20th. Of course, the hearing may bring up something else the public wants to see.
You thought you just said.
This paper right here, the front page, is what I have to get to the newspaper.
But does this affect that tornado?
I've already, that's what option B is. That's ready to roll. If that's what you guys want to submit, that's all I have to do is get Mrs. Statler's signature on it and I'm ready to roll.
So it's just the 35,000 added to it.
It's already in there. And then we're not doing anything with a level 4 elementary. Is that what I understand?
That's my feeling. If it's the will of the board to do that, that's, yeah.
I'm fine.
I would say no.
I'm okay with that, even though I love that program. And I'll come with, the label, Mr. Thomas.
And they all deserve as much as we can give them. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But maybe we can find other ways to show appreciation throughout the course of the year.
Donuts.
So then our
As far as it being,
I do understand. I do understand.
Yeah.
I'm going through it with my regular job as well. I'm getting on both sides of that.
So our public hearing then is scheduled for May 6th at 5 PM before the regular meeting. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I thought you were,
No, there was buzz on my microphone here. I just, I was scratching.
all right.
So we take a vote on May 6th.
No,
That's
the
a public
adoption
hearing.
would be May 20th. You never know what's gonna happen in a hearing. I don't like my hearings the same day as my adoptions, because if there was something that you'd want to change in it, you change it without seeing it.
So on the 19th, we're here, hired super, and on the 20th,
Is our regular meeting, and that would be for the adoption,
plus,
the adoption.
so we need to put budget
For
in there.
those,
It'll just be an item on the board agenda.
It'll be on this. meeting.
Yes.
Mr. Howard, you're expected to be here early on the 19th.
Well, yeah, I don't know, I gotta see my doctor that day, so, it might, I'll be here for that time. I have chemo that day. Seems like every week, that's my day chemo.
So option A, you can just give me and I'll pitch them.
Right here.
There we go.
I have the paper clip though.
I was gonna say, I kept the flip too. Can't give a teacher.
What is he, what
You
is he?
want anything?
See, there goes one.
If you want me to take A, I'll take A and pitch it for you.
You have another one in your hand. There you go.
I like the little ones too.
All right, while we're here, you have new dates for meetings in front of you. Can you please check those new dates?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
There are new dates for meetings.
Yes.
Please look over those new
It
dates.
goes in 6, the long one, in front of, right behind tab 6.
I got you. Yeah, it sure did. I got it.
With all those other changes we made, except to get 50.
Oh, everything that was originally in the book, the only thing that's changing on there is the assistant coaches.
I already got another date, though.
All right, check your dates. We are looking right now at May 6th for the budget hearing at 5, and then May 6th will follow our regular meeting. May 14th will be our personnel hearings at 5.
Those will be 15 minutes apiece.
Three employees so far.
So,
Yeah.
6.
15. And then we have a regular meeting.
No,
No, we have no meeting.
Right.
Why, you see me with that day?
May 19th, we're having a work session with Howard Super, which will be legislative updates and legal matters at 4. It's a new meeting.
Oh, I love Dr. Super.
Oh, I like him,
And I like my law class.
but then again, his meetings are the same.
June 11th, we've got a work session.
What about May 20th?
That's regular meeting.
Yeah, I
May
didn't put
20th, right?
all
Yeah,
of
these are the
them.
new meetings. These are all new meetings.
Yeah, and only the ones that were backed up to regular.
Okay, now where are we, June?
June 11th will be a work session for the in-person survey results at 4.
Oh, I thought oh, yeah,
Yeah. Was the-
4 o'clock.
The one day,
She's allowing
June
2
11th.
hours, but she said she could stay longer.
4 p.m.
what time did we start?
4,
For the 11th.
June 11th.
We'll have other people in there, okay.
No, well, they just figured it out for sure. I got
Okay.
the conference.
June 11th, work session.
We have
Then we go to June 17th,
If that's okay, that is.
if it's okay, yeah, superintendent's evaluation. We'll have 3 meetings on the 17th. We'll have the superintendent's evaluation at 4, and we will have our board self-appraisal at 5:30, and then our regular meeting at 6,
What time is the supers about?
4 p.m.
Never mind, son, I'll just-
I think
Okay.
an hour and a half. Yeah,
Is
we
that,
need to, we have,
That one.
oh, that's the superintendent and the superintendent.
No,
yes, we'll
We'll try this one right here.
What time, I got, right, here, I don't see no time.
Yeah, it's right up.
yeah, for the 17th,
End of the line, which one?
she's at 4 o'clock,
Okay.
and we have hours at 5:30. Might as well just put 4 to 6. It'll be the meetings all after the meeting.
Okay.
You'll be here.
Now, are we supposed to go to the computer and do the cell
We'll
phone
do that
evaluation
here.
before?
We'll have it set up for you.
We're gonna do it here?
But we can use our computers, can't
Yeah, we use our computers.
we? So we have regular board meeting at 12 p.m. on
Todd, you hear that?
On what?
Yeah,
Last
the
meeting of the
24th.
year will be the 24th.
That's your new,
On what?
year.
Do the end of the year business.
Yeah, I didn't.
Can you guys wait till I'm back here?
I'm getting a little cross-eyed.
Okay,
At noon, that's that wrap up.
okay. 5:36.
Yes.
At noon. This is the.
And that leaves us 3 meetings. So if we need to have an additional meeting for the superintendent's evaluation, after that, we could do that.
Or the audit.
Or the audit, yes.
Yes.
That would be,
And the ICE TAC committee meeting work session as well.
so we have, that means it's 3 meetings to meet our vote.
Yes. Right. Any other discussion topics on the budget or, not? Thank you, Ms. Hines. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Superintendent. Board member comments? Mr. Tucker?
Yeah, just,
No, I don't have.
Mr. Hope?
all you people out there in TV land, especially ones listening in on the budget, just bear with us and, you know, see if, as time goes along, if things change, it'll change for you. So, anyway, and Mrs. Kynes, thank you. I know it's difficult dealing with some of us on this board, in order to money. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
No, no, thanks for everyone's hard work. And I'm glad we only do it once a year.
Ms. Smith? Again, you know, thank you, but these decisions are what we're here for. They're never easy, but ultimately, our responsibility is the budget, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to taxpayers of Harrison County. So, as much as it hurts, we have to keep that in mind. All right, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
peace, go with peace.
Thank you.
Ask a couple questions.